Okay, now we're going to create the login and sign in components. So you can see we don't have anything here. It's going to redirect us there, but since there is no component inside the route that handles this, well, it doesn't show anything. So we're going to start building the login, and we're going to use that as a base to create the sign in. Okay, it's actually almost the same. So let me just minimize my OBS again, and we can start creating the login. But first of all, let's go to routes, and since we already have these ones, okay, let's import those login from components login and import sign in from components sign in. We're going to add them here. I'm just going to copy this, paste it twice above this, so this one is going to redirect us to sign in. And let's use the sign in here, and let's use the login here, and this one is going to redirect us to the login. Okay, so here we have our routes, although those should not work. Yep, because we are not returning anything. So let's just Control F5 so we can get at least the main working there. And let's close the routes since we don't need them right now. Let's create the login first. So we're going to import React and use state from React, and redirect and we router from React router DOM. Also, I'm just going to copy this. Import the Firebase config from Firebase from our Firebase config, and we can create this constant login equals to this function and we're going to create some constants right now. So let's say constant email and no, sorry, I always forget this. Set email equals to use state. Let's add the initial state to be this empty string. So remember that use state, okay, we're going to build later, not in this tutorial, but we're going to handle some, I think, file overloads, because hooks, okay, let me just explain this. Hooks use state returns two things: the actual manager of the state and the state itself. Okay, so that's why we use this the constructing, however it is said, and we pass these two values that are always being returned from use state. Okay, the email and the email, that is the state, and the set email, you can call them however you want. That the set email is the what actually sets the state. Okay, so once we create some custom hooks to manage, I don't know, file uploads, you will see this in more detail. But yeah, it's the same with the password. So let's say password, that is the state, and the handler of the state, that is set password. Okay, let's just add a capital P there, and same use state is an empty or inside we're going to add this empty string that is just the initial state that password is going to have. So this one is going to be like something like password equals to this. Okay, in case you are lost there. So we are going to, let me copy this one. This is another constant that is going to help us to redirect. The route redirect is going to use this redirect. You can call them however you want. The use state is going to be false. The first value is going to be false. So now let's go to the return, add some space in here, and we're going to return, let's create a form, and we're going to copy this one because it's similar to what we are going to use in the sign in. So I'm just going to build this one here for you to see. Form on submit. Remember that the events are with on. Okay, I always get confused because if you don't like Angular, with Angular is like this, and you submit or a click. Okay, and I always get confused moving from React to Angular and Angular to React. So this is using on submit. When we submit, we're going to perform this function or this action that we need to set here, because if it's not set, it's going to give us an error. So let's say login, constant login is equal to this function that right now is only going to say login user, just like that. So we have that defined, and now we can say a paragraph, welcome back, and I'm going to copy the label first. Okay, this is just a regular label with the HTML4. Now I'm going to type the input with the type of email. If I can type email with the name of email, and remember that the events are using on, so the on change is going to perform the next action that is going to be this function. Okay, we're declaring like this because we don't want the function to be performed or to be activated when the page loads. Okay, so if we remove, okay, let me finish this and I will explain. So let's set email event.target that value. So we don't use this, okay, like this, because it's going to be how can I say this? It's going to, whenever we mount the component, it's going to, once it gets to this part, it's going to run that. Okay, but we don't want that. Okay, why is this thing, why is the problem now? Okay, because I don't have this one closed. So let's close that. And let's copy the other one because it's similar. Add a little space in there so you can see. Let me add. And we have the label and the input, name password, type password, and on change we're going to use the setters on each one, the set email and set password, to set whatever is typed on these inputs to be the state. Okay, so this is the setter that we're going to use, that is returned from use state. And we actually need the input, so let's continue with this. The input submit with create account, although this one is login, so let's say login. and we need to export default with router login, and that should be it. Let's go to login. Okay, we have this. Now we're going to do the same. It's the same for the sign in. So let's just copy that. Okay, I realized I didn't finish that. So let me start copying this to here, and we will fix that, because since I was using the same user and the same, I didn't need to log in or to sign up inside this application because I was using the same project or the same database, project from Firebase, and that is the React Redux hooks that we created before. I was using that, and since I deleted that, well, there's no, I'm sorry, I'm just fucking, I can fucking think. I didn't finish the sign in because I didn't need to sign in inside this application. Okay, I don't know why I'm copying this because I already have the user that were the same that I created on the other application. So we're going to copy this return, and actually let's copy all this because this is almost the same. I hope you understood what I said, but yeah, this is just copying all this because I didn't finish the sign up. And export default router is the same thing. Okay, so but this one is sign in. It should be sign in or sign. And so this one is not sign in, is create user, or let's call it sign up. Sign in. Yeah, let's keep. So now we are going to assign the sign in, and let's say creating user. And this is create a new account. With the same email and password, and this is create account. Okay, so that should be working. Set sign in. Okay, I was wondering why this one wasn't lit. So let's go to sign in and login. We have those created. Now we can actually try to sign in. So we are going to use the function that we added inside our Firebase config, that is the sign in. So let's actually get that inside this sign in. Okay, we're going to remove that, and we're going to say event that prevent default. We need the event here, event that prevent default, to stop the form to refresh the browser. So we're going to say await Firebase that sign in with email and password. Okay, you can see that it's now using these two from line 7 and 8, the email and password, and those are going to be set whenever we type something inside this email and password input. We can also say, let's say let user equals to this await, and let's say console.log. Since this is going to return the user, we should get that, and below here we're going to redirect. But let's see if we can create the account. Okay, we need this to be async, an async function. So let's actually, I close that. So let me go to Firebase and and check the authentication. Just give me a second. It's taking a bit to react Firebase. Okay, so now here we are. Authentication, and let's see. Okay, we can add a user there, but let's see. So this should create a new account. Let me remove all that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Create account. You can see that it returns something. So this is the console. It's a sign-in JS 15. So it's this one. Remember that we are returning the user. That's why we have access to that, in case you want to use the user. And let's refresh. Okay, you can see here is my user. So that is working perfectly. And we want to use now the before we do this, let's go to the navigation and call the logout sign out. Sorry, there's a car there that sounds like a fucking truck. So let's go to the logout and actually, okay, but we need something. Okay, right now the application knows, well, we know we have a user, okay, because we can see it, but the application doesn't know that we have a user. Okay, so we need to go to the config and create a function below. So let me just go to my config and create a function that is going to get us async get user state. It's similar to what we did on the other tutorial. So let's say return new promise resolve, and it's going to say this auth. So we have access because we created this reference to the auth. So this auth, that on auth state changed, and now here we're going to resolve. So this is going to wait to see if there's a user, and if there's a user, it's going to resolve and it's going to allow us to change. Okay, so the application will understand that we have a user. So now we can return to the navigation, call the use effect that we define up here, but we are not using. This is a function, and inside it gets, or it needs another function, and we're going to say Firebase that get user state. We have access because we're importing the file here that is exporting the class. That then, okay, here we can check if there's a user. This will return a user if there is a user. So if that is correct, when this is going to be added. So that is going to be added whenever we have the login or sign in user. Okay, whenever the user is actually login or sign in. So that is going to return the user. Okay, and we can use this user to say set user state. Here we're going to define it at first as null, but now we are just going to define the user object inside the user state. Set user state. Okay, let's leave it like that. Why not? It's just because this U is lowercase, but fuck it, it's just the naming. Okay, so now whenever the application, okay, you can see it's going to change because we already have this implemented. Okay, this was different with Redux because we needed to manage those using the global state, okay, that Redux provides us, the reducers and actions. But now we can just call it inside use effect, and I think it was like that, I can't remember. Get if there is a user login, because we already created a user, we already have the credentials inside this application. Okay, and the user is logged in, but the application didn't know. Firebase knew that we have a user here, but React didn't know we have it. Okay, so now we understand that we have a user checking and using the function is on out state changed. Using that, we can see if there's a user login. Okay, so now because we are checking if user state is null, as I said before, this is going to check if there's a user or not. So if there's a user, meaning this is not null, is going to render this logout instead of what we have here. Okay, but we still don't have the logout functionality, so let's actually add that, and this is going to be, we're not going to use await, so this is going to be Firebase that logout. This is just a function. Let me add a space in there, and we're going to set user state to be null again. Why? Because remember that the login or this button is reacting to the state change inside the set user state. Okay, so we need to define that as null to return these sign in and login buttons. And we can say props that history that replace in order to avoid it to demount the navigation and to actually replace what we have here with the other component. Okay, so when we click this, it's going to sign us out. So we need the sign in. Let's finish that. And okay, we are okay, 20 minutes. Okay, it's going to be less than 30 minutes. So we have the login, but we don't have the functionality. So that is similar to the sign up or sign in, however you want to call it. So this is going to accept an event. It's going to say event that prevent default. It's a function. Let me move the mouse. Okay, it's going to say await. So we're going to await for the user. Firebase that login. Okay, we have that. It's going to take the email and password. That remember that those are going to be set whenever we type. So when we type this is setting the corresponding inputs state. So we can also, in case you want to use it, let user equals also that log, because this is going to return us the user. Why? Because we already told the function, where is the login, that when this is done, that it should return us the user. Okay, so that's why we can say let user and console the user after this is done. You can store it in the state, whatever you want. Okay, and do whatever you want. You are free to do whatever you want with the user there. So what else? I think this is it for this one. Let me just copy the redirection. This is going to allow us to redirect. And we need to set the redirect to true. So we are redirected to the main route. And let's go here and also do the same. That is, yeah, it's the same. So redirect to true. We also did that one. This part, that is the constant. So in case you're using or you want to use context, all this you can handle it globally. But as far as I know, you need to set a wrapper inside your not index, sorry, your app.js. So this function, I mean, all this should be inside a wrapper, so you can use the state, the authentication. I can remember, as I said before in the other, I'm not that I haven't used context. Okay, we need to use async. I haven't used context that much. Async is inside the login, yep. So I will check how to do that and show you. So we have the login working and the sign in. So let's say login and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 login. Okay, and you can see that it returns the user and it redirects us and the state changes. Okay, because the navigation is waiting for those changes and checking them, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. So the sign in, login, and logout are working, and we can now continue with the rest of the application, setting our components to use the creation, update, and delete that Firebase provides us. Okay, we're going to set those functions inside this as we are doing inside this class, and yeah, so we will continue in the next one.